Welcome, guys, to the Real Estate Investing Worldwide podcast. Today's guest, we have Anakae Morgan from Keller Williams, Jamaica. How you doing, Anakae?
Hey Kevin, I am great. As you can see, the weather here is great and I'm absolutely enjoying it.
I was just telling Anakae before the podcast started. I'm jealous because it's like 40 degrees Fahrenheit here in New York City. It's raining. It's an ugly day, and Anakae turns on the camera and I see palm trees in the back, beautiful sunlight. I'm jealous. So Anakae, if you can introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do.
Okay, so thank you for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. Sharing with you and your listeners and providing some insight into the real estate space here on my beautiful little island, Jamaica. So yeah, as I mentioned to you before, I've been in real estate for a couple of years now, and I'm coming from hospitality. Um, and so I think I bring a little bit of, well, a lot of that over into real estate. Real estate is something that I've always loved and had an interest into. Um, Coming from hospitality, you know, it's a buzzing business. It's always going. There's really no downtime, you know.
Especially Jamaica.
And yeah, and during the pandemic, most of the hotels closed down. Well, all of them. There was a time when everything was closed down. Everywhere was closed down. Airports was closed. Everything. And so it was at that point when I decided, I'm never going to get an opportunity like this again. It was always in the back of my mind. It was something that I could never shake. I knew I would get back there, but it was just a matter of time. And that really provided me with the opportunity to be able to do that. And I just went for it, and I haven't looked back since. I'm having the time of my life. And, enjoying my freedom, going out, meeting new people, helping change lives, that kind of thing. Really great.
And Anakae, how did the hospitality, because you were in hospitality before this, how did that help you, based on your experience? How did that help you transition to real estate?
Um, it seems to always come back to the relationships. Pretty much, what else can I say? The relationships, meeting new people, maintaining those relationships, when you meet people. I always say when people visit Jamaica, it literally becomes home.
Mm.
And that's one of the things when you interact with Jamaicans, you automatically feel like your family.
You want
It's
to know something? So I'm actually currently helping a family sell a property here in Queens, and they're Jamaican. And
Yeah.
oh my goodness, they've treated me like family from the moment I stepped into that house. They're even telling me, "Hey Kevin, we need to bring you to Jamaica. Like, come to
Yeah,
Jamaica." And then again, such a lovely, lovely family. My goodness. So I can see that the hospitality, right?
absolutely. So that's really what it boils down to. Being able to have those relationships and being, personal and maintaining those over time.
Of course. So tell me a little bit about the real estate itself. Okay. So you're located where in Jamaica?
I am based in Montego Bay, but
Montego.
Jamaica is a small island. So it's only a few hours from one end of the island to the next.
Got it. Okay.
Right.
And
So
go ahead, sorry.
right. So you really just move around. It's really nothing to go from one side to the other. So I'd say it's like you're treating a whole island like it's one less than a state.
Definitely
Jamaica
less
would
than a
get
state.
lost in. So I mean, yeah, it's a pretty easy commute back and forth
Okay.
and
So
to
it's
get
very
around.
it's fairly easy for you to move around to different parts of the country.
Yes.
It's fairly, and you would say it only takes a few hours to go from like coast to coast.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So tell me,
I'd say I was gonna give you a ballpark.
Yes.
Maybe from one end to the other end, maybe 5 hours.
Oh, okay, that's not bad.
Yeah.
That's not bad at all. So how far, and forgive me for not knowing the geography here. So how far is Montego Bay from Kingston?
It's a 2.5 hour drive.
Okay. And Kingston is more central, or is it also on the coast?
Kingston is um practical. It's not, well, it's on the coast. It spans. So it
Mm.
spans from the center of the island to a coast, pretty much.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Hmm.
Oh, that's interesting. So it spans from it spans to the
Right,
middle
because
of
you
the
have like
island to the
you'll
coast.
have like, remember, we're surrounded entirely
Okay.
by water. You may
Okay.
not want to swim in that water, but ships come in. So yeah, when you talk about coastline and nice crystal clear waters, you're going to be looking more at places like the North Coast where I am,
The North Coast.
and
Okay.
and the South Coast as well. So you're gonna be looking at Hanover, Westmoreland, you're gonna be looking at St. James, so Montego Bay, St. James, St. Anne, going all the way around. It's gorgeous. It's
Love it,
gorgeous.
love it, love it. So going to segueing into the real estate,
Mhm.
what type of real estate do you mainly focus on?
A mixture, varying types, residential, luxury, commercial.
Okay. And which ones have you seen that, wow, there's been a boom in? Because I know, again, we've spoken to a few countries here and they've told me different things, right? But I know the market shifted dramatically after COVID. Did you guys see that in Jamaica, or can you elaborate a little bit about that?
Um, I don't know if I would say that there was a dramatic shift here in Jamaica. It's I've From what I've seen, it's pretty much rem sort of remained. What it has done is grown,
Mm-hmm.
leaps and bounds maybe, but I wouldn't say that there has been really a dramatic shift in the type, because you know Jamaica is known for tourism and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So those things remain the same. People are constantly traveling here. Um, and once you come, you want a piece of paradise.
Of
So
course.
you're always gonna be interested in um, a vacation home. You're
Mm,
always gonna be interested in an investment property, where you can generate income, and when you're not here, you can come back. Um, you can come back often.
of course.
When you go back home, you can generate some income from the property that you left behind, kind of situation. So that has grown, I'd say. The market for that has grown, and people are getting has gotten since COVID a lot into, maybe let's not just go to Jamaica and just be at the all-inclusive resorts. They want to have more flexibility. They want to, try out some Airbnbs, that kind of thing. So those things have caused the market to expand, so to speak.
Airbnbs, okay. So tell me a little bit about that. Is it more on like private homes? Like, is there apartments that are, I guess, that are being rented out as Airbnbs?
Um, yes, you have people who have expanded on their homes
Mm-hmm.
and have decided to use, maybe a 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom to generate some additional income. Um, you do have specific apartments designated for that kind of thing. Some people are just into that. They'll buy a home and this is their Airbnb. They don't live there. This is their additional income that they're generating from this property, kind of situation. So it's a mixture.
Okay, it's a mixture. Nice. So are these like Airbnbs, are they like mostly near the coast or are they kind of everywhere?
They're everywhere. They're everywhere. I'm so surprised that sometimes I'll drive through some communities and I'll see somebody come out that's obviously, you know, not from
Not
here.
from
I was
Jamaica.
like, hey, what are you doing here? And so I mean, it really doesn't matter. People are very open to traveling and just really exploring. And persons are locals are actually benefiting from that.
Mm,
People visit, they have a comfortable place to stay, they get to explore the island and do, all these amazing things that are here to be done. And it's a win-win.
yeah. So the weather is like this all year round, I assume, right?
Pretty much. It's pretty much like this. There is a rainy season, but generally it's nice and sunny. We don't have winter.
Oh no, definitely not. Not like
No.
here. It snowed within the past year. It snowed maybe like 5, 6 times. Not even last year. The last like 4 months, it snowed a lot. And it's
Yeah.
like 10-degree weather. I don't know how much that is in centigrade, but it was like 10-degree weather. So I would say, give or take, maybe like negative 12 degrees centigrade. And it's
Mhm.
freezing. It may be lower than that. So a lot of people, I guess, like, and they like to go leave the New York weather for places in the Caribbean such as Jamaica, right?
Oh, trust me. Canadians, like, yeah. When winter hits, it's
Everybody's going down.
crazy. Everybody's here. Everybody's here.
So talking a little bit about that, what type of is that like the most types of investors that are looking in Jamaica? Are they American, Canadian? Like where else do you see that people are investing in Jamaica?
The types, you mean where they're coming from?
Yeah, basically.
They come from all over the world, all over the world.
Wow.
I'd
Europe too.
say in terms of residential investors, maybe maybe Americans might have uh, a bit of an edge there. They might be make up the larger number, but pretty much all over the world.
Got it. I'm not surprised. Again, it's such a beautiful country. Everybody that goes there falls in love with
Absolutely.
it. So, Montego Bay, that's where you're residing right now, right?
Yes, yes.
Tell me a little bit about that. So, how has it been like the past few years there in Montego Bay with the real estate market?
It's been pretty good. I'd say there's a lot of growth in Montego Bay. Montego Bay is a resort town, a resort
Okay.
area. So you have a lot of persons that my my thing is connected to. My computer is connected. So
No,
are
I
you
hear you.
hearing the thing in the
Yeah.
background? You're good?
No, I hear you
Okay.
perfectly. Yeah, I don't hear anything in the
Okay.
back. You're fine.
Okay. So um growth in Montego Bay is a resort town. Once you come, you fall in love and it becomes home. So by the time you go home, you're gonna jump on your computer and you're gonna figure out how am I gonna get something here, because I need to
Yeah,
go
yeah.
back. So pretty much that's what it is. And year over year, the growth in tourist arrivals, and the more people that come in, is the more people that fall in love and want to, grab a little piece of Jamaica. And so based on that, we continue to have growth in sales, apartments, homes. You'll have persons who live abroad, Jamaicans living abroad.
hmm
At some point, they're gonna want to come back home to retire. And so you'll have those persons purchasing property. You'll have the visitors who fallen in love that, are gonna say, okay, I absolutely need to get a vacation home here, or you know what, I'm going to have an investment property here. Or I'm going to do both. I'm going to buy a property so that I can visit that property. And when I'm not here, I'm going to generate income from that same property. So all around its growth, there is so much infrastructure now
Mm.
going in, roadworks.
Okay.
And so that's what that means, is that you're going to start opening up areas that in the past might have not been as accessible.
Interesting.
So you're going to be, so currently there's so much road work going on. And you know, we have an airport here in Montego Bay. So it's pretty easy getting in, and a couple minutes drive to anywhere in Montego Bay, pretty much. So it's a pretty wide network where you can, you know, take advantage of the communities. So outside of just the communities that are 5 minutes, 10 minutes to the airport, and in the heart of the city that you can, you know, skip over to, we're going to be opening up a lot of areas that would have been considered rural St. James then. So those areas are going to be opening up. That's going to create so many more opportunities for further development, you know, to spread everything out, and you'll be able to access those areas more easily.
Wow. So I mean, I love that, right? So I guess the government is putting money into the infrastructure to be. There's so much demand in Montego Bay. Obviously, that's one of the most popular ones, but apart from others, and the fact that they're expanding is actually a good sign for investors
Absolutely.
because there's opportunities to be had. And in those
Absolutely.
areas that you're saying that originally, if they were rural and they weren't able to, they didn't have any access, road access. Now there will be. So those might be other zones that in a few years are probably going to be more expensive, correct?
Exactly. And the key thing about real estate is always to try to get in early. Wink,
Yeah,
wink.
of
So
course.
before the prices skyrocket, you're hearing it right here. You know, there's a lot of infrastructure going in. Take advantage of that knowledge and know that, you know, if you're looking at somewhere that might be considered to be rural, the prices are not going to be as high at this point. Don't wait until everything is done. You know,
Mhm.
getting now, and then you can laugh when
Then you can
you
laugh
start
later.
benefiting from those capital gains and all of that, right?
Exactly. That's how it has to be. That's how it has to
Exactly.
be. So tell us a little bit about the areas. So where do you see, and again, if you don't know that, that's fine, but like which areas do you see that there's going to be further expansion into that maybe previously before there wasn't any?
So, well, to name communities, I wouldn't be able to name communities, but in the same Montego Bay, you're gonna have areas that the roads were maybe not so great, in deplorable conditions, you know. Those roads are being fixed up.
Okay.
Um, so with that kind of work being done, it means that, so for example, if you're going to do a land subdivision,
Hmm.
right? In a rural St. James community where the road was bad, you're going to have a challenge because, of course, if you're going to buy a property, it needs to be accessible,
Mm.
right? So yes, it might be a lot cheaper, but then you might have an issue with being able to sell or move those properties because people are going to be, boy, this is not going to make sense for me to purchase in that area because what it's going to take for the wear and tear on my vehicle to get to this location,
Hmm.
it doesn't make sense. You're going to be changing your car every 6 months. You know what I mean? So,
Yes.
so those are the little things that you're looking at, and with the, you know, infrastructure going in now, those are going to open up and create just an enormous amount of opportunity to be able for developers, you know, and buyers alike,
Of
because now you
course.
have more options. You know what I mean? And you will be able to access these options even cheaper than, you know, what the options that you would have in the heart of the city. right? So developers now can look at those lands and say, all right, since these roads are coming in, let me jump and buy this 40 acres up here and, build some affordable housing. And that market is a market that is in dire need of some attention. And so that is a great opportunity. So those are the kind of things that you're looking at when you want to be looking at and taking into consideration when you're looking at, what your next move is going to be, what's an opportunity that you'll really be able to see some return on your investment in a short space of time.
I love that. I love that. And it's very true. It's like what you said, you have to get in early. If you know those trends and kind of what you're saying, Anakae, people are building on the roads. And well, the government is building on the roads, and if you can see that vision of where it's going, you can snatch up a property there, and in 5 years, maybe less, it's going to be worth a lot more because you took that risk, but you saw the vision,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's what it's always going to take. It's always going to take making the right connection, speaking to a local expert who is going to guide you accordingly. And look at, everybody is different. There's no one size fits all. You're gonna want to look at where this person is on their journey. Look at the bigger picture, look at where they're heading, where they want to go, what they want to achieve, and you tailor what you're doing, your advice to them, how you're gonna guide them based on that.
100%. I agree. Tell us now, Anna-Kate, let's talk about prices because I think the viewers are probably going to be very interested about that. Well, first off, what currency, just so the audience knows, what currency is used in Jamaica?
Jamaican dollars, US dollars, Canadian dollars, pounds, yep.
Okay. Okay. So let's talk about, I mean, if you can, in dollars. So in Montego Bay, what is the average? I mean, it's very broad, but let's say apartments. How much could a two-bedroom apartment cost there, or a single family, whatever you're familiar with? What can they be costing, or what can it cost the consumer?
Um, if you're going to look at something, okay, so are you at all familiar with Montego Bay? Have you visited
I've
before?
I've heard of it. I've never actually been there.
Okay, so in a pretty decent, pretty upscale community, close, maybe 5 minutes, 7 minutes to the airport, 5 minutes to the airport, you can get a really nice apartment for $350,000. Right
Really?
now, there are some just on the brink of completion that are going for 365, starting at $365,000 for 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom, ocean view, and they're
Wow.
pretty amazing.
Wow. 300 and you said 360,000?
365,000.
365.
And I'm talking about gated community, swimming
Prime.
pool, ocean view, 5 minutes from the airport, supermarkets, gas stations, everything 2 minutes away, kind of, pharmacies, hospitals, right at your doorsteps.
Wow. What
Maybe
about
a 7 minute
amenities?
drive to the beach.
Oh, wow. So
So
7 minute drive. What about amenities? Like gyms and stuff like that. They
so
have?
you'll have a gym, swimming pool. They're still working on additional amenities. You might have like a mini golf thing on the rooftop kind of thing. But the standard, you'll have a swimming pool, you have maybe a walking trail, you'll have gym, swimming pool, walking, jogging trail, that kind of thing, the standard.
Very cool. Very
And then
cool.
you may have additional amenities on top of that. So the
Wow.
standard, yes.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Two-bedroom apartment, ocean view for 365. That is not bad at all. And is
And
Montego
I'm
Bay?
and I'm and I'm not talking about matches boxes. I'm talking about proper 1,300 square feet kind of
Whoa.
spaces. Yeah.
So they're spacious apartments. 1,300.
Absolutely.
Wow. You want to know
Even
how
more than
much?
that, 1,300, 1,500 square feet. Yeah.
Wow. So they are big apartments.
Mhm.
Do you want to know some of the prices here? And okay, I'm going to give you, and for the audience too. So in Queens, a pre-war building, maybe built in the 1930s, 1940s, co-op. And I'm not even talking about a condo, co-op. So you don't really, for the audience that doesn't know what a co-op is, a co-op is basically you own the shares of the building. So you don't actually own the apartment. And you have a proprietary lease, and that's basically it. A condo, you actually have a title to the square, the box that you live in. So for something that you don't even own, for a one bedroom, you're probably looking at maybe anywhere between 250 to $300,000. And this has no amenities. It's at times it could be in a building that you walk up in, no elevator. So for that money, you can save up a little bit more or get a loan, and then you can get a prime ocean view apartment in Montego Bay.
And now you know why we're being flocked by people all over the world.
Exactly, exactly. Places like New York that everything is so expensive.
Yeah,
Um, People are, and a lot of people have been leaving New York City for that reason. It's so
right.
expensive. Property taxes, just so you know, and I'll ask a little bit about property taxes in a bit, but just so the audience knows, here in Long Island, my office is in Franklin Square. Personally, I live in Queens. I was born and raised in Queens. It's not too much of a drive, maybe 30 minutes. Here in Long Island, the average property taxes per year is around $12,000. And it goes up a lot higher than that. There's properties here in Long Island, especially in the North Shore. You're
Mhm.
looking at anywhere between 20,000. It could even be up to, I've seen $50,000 a year in property taxes. It's insane. So that coupled with the prices itself of the house, of the homes, you might want to just go to Montego Bay.
Yeah.
So Anikae, tell us too, what about villas and homes? How are they popular, or can you elaborate a little bit about that?
Yes, they are also very popular. Um, you have villas on the beach,
Okay.
villas in very well established communities, um, that are on acres of land, amazing amenities on the beach.
Wow.
Um, and you can get those for 1.5 million. And these
Acres.
are acres,
Oh my goodness. Acres.
acres, um, on the golf course, on the beach, you know, the whole works. 1.5 million, 2 million, $3 million, and you're on the beach. You have acres of land. You have a course. You know, everything is right there. You have restaurants, the whole works.
Wow. And in Montego Bay too? Or is it like more on the outskirts?
You have in Montego, well, um, uh, you have in Montego Bay, you have communities, gated communities that may not have all of those things in Montego Bay, but definitely on the outskirts as well. Hanover, you're looking
Okay.
at Trial Club and those communities. Um, so yeah, everything and that is literally, so that would be like a 20-minute drive from the airport. So it's
Okay.
literally right
That's
there, just the
not
thing.
bad. That's not
Yeah.
bad at all. 20-minute drive. And what about rent? So for example, let's say apartments in Montego Bay. That
Mhm.
let's say if you wanted to rent out, okay? If somebody
Mhm.
wants to rent out for Airbnb, or maybe just do a long-term hold. Maybe they just want to rent out per year. Do you have any insight on that?
A home that they want to rent out for a year.
Let's assume the two-bedroom apartments. right? How
Mm-hmm.
much can those rent out for?
All right. So in general, you're gonna be looking at location. So those apartments, if you're gonna be renting those, you could probably rent those for uh anywhere from maybe $1,500 to $2,000 a month.
Okay. 1,500
Um,
to 2,000.
US. US.
Okay. That's not bad at all.
Mhm. And that's for short term. That's for long term rental.
For
So
long term.
if you're looking at short term rentals, you're gonna be looking at a nightly rate, like Airbnb, for example, and you would be looking at maybe anywhere between $100 to $200 per night.
Okay. So $102 a night. That's amazing for oceanfront apartments.
View,
Okay.
ocean view. Ocean
Ocean
front,
view. Sorry.
ocean front is gonna be a little different.
Ocean view. Ocean view. Yeah, you're right.
Yes,
Oceanfront is
yes,
different. Of course, it's probably gonna be more expensive.
yes.
Um, okay, so let's get into if somebody wants to buy, let's say an American citizen, or if they don't have to necessarily be American, let's say anywhere else in the world, how would they, can you talk us a little bit about the process as to how they can purchase, let's say an apartment?
Mhm. All right, so there aren't really any restrictions to purchasing property here in Jamaica. What you will need, what an American, what a foreigner will need, however, is to apply for a TRN, a tax
PRN?
registration number.
Okay.
Um, they're going to need to get connected with a local bank, financial institution, if they're going to be getting financing.
Hmm.
Uh,
I'm just writing this down as you say it.
oh,
Even though this is
um,
recorded, I still want to have this, but go ahead.
they're going to need to speak with an attorney here that's versed in the local real estate law, local land law. Um, outside of that, so and with the financial institutions, the only difference would be that a foreigner may be required to do maybe a 20 to 30% discount compared to a local who may not be required to put down such a large deposit. Sorry. Outside of that, pretty much it's a go.
So,
So
okay,
just
go ahead.
So
Sorry.
just you will need a TRN. That's going to be required to close a transaction. You will need to get connected with a local bank, a local financial institution, an attorney here. You will need to do, and if you're getting financing, you will absolutely need to do a valuation and survey on that property. Pretty much that's it. Everything else is just, the generic paperwork that you're going to be completing. But outside of that, you would be good to go.
So you do need an attorney to close on properties over there, or is it more of a optional thing?
I would not say it's an option. That's a very important part of the process. You need to make sure that you're purchasing a property. You need to make sure that it's free and clear. There's no encumbrances, there's no lien on the property, that kind of thing. So you should have an attorney to ensure that the due diligence is done. So
Okay,
I would not say that is an option. That's key.
it is key.
You're gonna
Okay,
be putting money up. You want to make sure that things are done right, and you're not putting yourself at risk.
so basically, so that's very similar here than in New York. So basically, your attorney in Jamaica, they're in charge of basically looking at if there's any liens, violations on the property. Make sure obviously that the property the money gets transferred the correct way to the correct
My
institution.
gosh, I can hardly hear you because it's so windy. So windy.
I love it. You see, look at that.
Windy
Over here,
here.
like I said, it's cold and it's rainy.
Yeah, but
Um,
pretty much yes.
okay, got it. Now, so that's like I said, very similar to here in New York. So the attorney's in charge of all of that too. Okay, so you get your TRN. if you need to, that's step number one. Step number two, the local bank, if you need to obviously connect with them. Now, you have to use a local bank in order to do a transaction, or can you use an international bank? I know
Um,
different countries have different rules. I've heard both.
so you will need to, so if you're going to, if wherever you're coming from, if they're gonna finance you and give you cash, then you're gonna be purchasing with cash.
Okay.
Or there are some banks that are not originally from Jamaica, so they'll have branches other in other countries as well. Um, so you'll have JN, you'll have your Scotia Bank.
Mm,
So you can obviously go through those, but yes, you'll need to make a connection with the local financial institutions.
okay. So that makes sense. So you do need that connection here. Well, in Jamaica. All right. So let's say you have your TRN, you speak to a bank, you have an attorney ready to go. All right. So what's the next steps? Let's say you see a property for sale. And obviously you have Anakae representing you. Um, what would be the next steps for a buyer?
All right, so you see a property, you've decided that you want that property.
Mhm.
I am going to make the connection. So if you need to get financing, I'm going to put you on to
Beautiful.
somebody at a bank, at one of our partners. I'm going to send you the paperwork to complete. Once you send all that information back to me, we can make an offer on the property. You're gonna need your pre-approval from the financial institution to be able to make an offer on the property if you're gonna get financed.
Mhm.
Um, I can also recommend attorneys. You know how it goes. You work with people that you know is tried and tested,
A hundred
and
percent.
that's going to be very important as well, because if you're not working with somebody who is there for you, you can take up the phone whenever and say, hey, what's going on with this transaction? You don't want to run the risk of your transactions. You've done certain things, you've done your valuation, you've done your survey, and because somebody who we're not very familiar with is handling your transaction, you're now running the risk of it falling through because they're lagging behind, they're not doing the things that they need to be doing, and those are real things here in Jamaica. I'm not so sure that that's something that you contend with in the States.
Oh, yes, we do.
Okay, so
100%.
so there you go, you know exactly where I'm coming from. So those are things, so you need to make sure that you know who you're working with. You keep you keep it tight, you so that you can go through the process as seamlessly as possible.
Yeah, I agree because you don't want to recommend, you want to basically work with all the parties that you know exactly what you're saying, that they have the expertise in being able to help other clients because you've worked with
Right.
them already. And
Yeah.
especially a client that comes from another country that they don't know anybody, they would depend on you, Annika, to be able to connect them to the right people to get the job done.
Right. And there has been situations, nightmare situations, things that you never want to happen. You never want your client to have these kinds of situations. But choosing an attorney is something that is sensitive, and some people might think that, okay, I want to choose my own attorney. An attorney is not something you can force on someone.
Of
And
course.
unfortunately, sometimes you have situations where you end up having to change attorneys mid-transaction.
Hmm.
Nobody wants that. So it's very important that you work with somebody that you know you can trust, somebody that comes highly recommended, so that, once they start making their own recommendations, you can be confident that, this person has my best interest at heart, and, they're gonna steer me in the right direction, kind of thing, so that you can avoid situations like that. Because again, nobody wants to be changing attorneys mid-transaction.
Exactly. No, it's true. Or maybe misrepresenting them, or they don't have the proper experience in real estate. Maybe they're just an attorney that does litigation. I don't know. They're in the courts all
Yeah,
day. They don't know what a
absolutely.
real estate transaction is. So I
Exactly.
I completely agree with you. Okay,
Exactly.
so we put in the offer. What comes next?
Um, you put the offer in, it goes through a process of acceptance or
Mm-hmm.
rejection, as you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes the market is very, very, very competitive. So you're gonna absolutely do the best that you can, but unfortunately at that stage there are no guarantees. When you submit an offer, you want to make your best offer. And keep your fingers crossed. Because the market gets so crazy that sometimes you just have so many offers going in on a property. Some persons are offering so much higher than what the seller is even asking. And so you never know what's going to happen. You put your best offer in and you hope for the best. So once that is done, if it is accepted, then you move on to getting your attorneys involved. So they will see you through um, all the other steps that needs to take place, doing your due diligence. You know, once your payment comes in from the bank, you know, that is applied. You're doing your transfers, that kind of thing. The attorney is going to take care of all of that.
Okay. So once we have the accepted, that's when attorneys are involved.
Yes.
The accepted offer. And then are there contracts signed, then the due diligence, or if you can elaborate on that.
So you'll typically make a deposit when you have signed an agreement for sale.
Okay.
The attorney continues to go through the process and make sure that if there's anything on that title that needs to be cleared is cleared, um, or removed.
Mhm.
So right. So that's at that phases where those things will be done going forward. And then they will, once everything is in order, they will do the transfers and registration and all of that that is required at that point.
And after the attorney is looking over the contracts and for title and all that good stuff, what about the appraisal or the valuation from the bank? At what point is that done?
So once you have an acceptance, so all of that is going to be done prior to the bank issuing any money.
Oh, okay.
Right. So one of the things that buyers should keep in mind as well is that once you're getting financing, it is required to do a valuation on the property. So for example, if you, Kevin, are selling a property for $200,000, right? And that property is, when the bank sends their appraisal and they do their valuation, when that valuation is done, if that property comes, if the valuation comes out to say $150,000, you know how much money the bank is going to give you?
150.
So you're going to have to decide at this point, are you able to move forward with the transaction? Am I going to be able to? You're going to have to, if you're going to go forward with the transaction, no, find the additional $50,000 because the bank is not going to give you any more than the valuation amount.
Very similar to here.
If
Very
the
similar to
vendor
here.
is not willing to negotiate on their price,
So,
if they've decided this is what we're selling for and I'm
Mhm.
not selling for $1 less, then in that case, if you really want the property, you're going to have to figure out the difference.
So this is done at the stage where the attorneys are also looking at the contracts after contracts are signed. Okay,
Yes.
so it is done at this stage. So title and appraisal are done basically similar times.
Title? No,
With the attorney.
no. With the attorney. So the attorney is going to do their due diligence
Mhm.
at the same time when the bank is
Doing the
you're
valuation.
now sending out to, as a matter of fact, you can, but you run a risk and you don't want to spend money if your offer is not accepted and there's no guarantee that because you can go ahead and do those things before, but then you're running the risk of, what if my offer is not accepted? I just went ahead and spent this money.
Mm. So the point that the attorney, and I want to back up here. So the moment that the attorney does his due diligence, at that point the contracts had already been signed, not the closing, but the contracts of the purchase agreement.
Yes,
So at that point, the attorney does the due diligence, right?
yes,
And then at the same time, does the bank also do their due
the-
diligence with the appraisal,
yes, yes,
evaluation? Okay,
yes.
okay, just wanted to make sure. So both of those are done
They're
upon
happening simultaneously.
at contract signing, after contract signing, right? After the
Yes,
accepted offer.
after the accepted offer. Yes.
Okay, okay. Just wanted to make sure. Cool, cool, cool.
Yeah.
Very similar to here. Very similar to here that I'm seeing. And this is out of all the countries I've interviewed, I think Jamaica has been the closest to the United States.
Yes.
Very similar.
Mhm.
Because especially here in New York, in other states, the agent is in charge of doing title, well, doing the reviewing the title search, basically.
Mhm.
Here in
Mhm.
New York City, it's the attorney. The buyer's attorney reviews the title report. Okay.
Okay.
So that obviously is an extra layer of protection. Some people don't like it. I think it's a good idea here in New York City to have attorneys available so they can advise you the correct way. Okay, so going back to Jamaica. After we have title good, well, due diligence from the attorney is fine, and the appraisal of the and the valuation of the property from the bank is correct. What comes after that?
Um, what comes after that is closing. So once everything is in order, then the attorney moves to actually doing the transfers. You're gonna pay over the the balance of the money because you initially made a deposit.
Mhm.
So you're gonna pay over the balance. The transfers are done. Property is yours.
So is this at a notary's office? Is it at the attorney's office? How does that work?
The attorney handles all of that.
So the closing is at attorney's office. There's no notary involved.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
If you are, what happens is that if the buyer is overseas, the
Mhm.
documents that they're sending over should be notarized
Yes. Got it.
if they're not dealing with the transaction in person kind of situation. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. I asked because other countries, like I said, I've interviewed a few other countries here, and they have closings in the notary's office, and there's no attorneys involved. And
Oh,
it's yeah, it's I'm from my family's from Colombia. I was born here in the US. My family's from Colombia, and there is no attorneys involved. You can have an
oh,
attorney, but you don't have to close on a property. The notary at closing does everything. And
okay.
if something happens at the closing, if there's a judgment or whatever it may be that just
Mhm.
pops up, the seller has to remedy it, or else obviously you have to go back to renegotiating. So the notary is in charge of being the attorney plus the title company plus yeah, it's crazy. And the closings are very quick,
Interesting.
but I don't know. I don't see, every country is different. So it's amazing to see that's why I like to ask.
Yeah.
Um Definitely. So where do you see now, and appreciate you sharing the entire process with us. So for people, for the audience thinking of investing in Montego Bay or in Jamaica, there you have it. Um, so where do you see in the next few years, where do you see Jamaica going? Well, Montego Bay.
So as I said earlier, they say if something ain't broke, don't fix it. So we are pretty much for the past couple of years, and we are on track to continue and to grow, along the track that we are currently on. Like I mentioned, the general status quo is the same. People are returning home. People want vacation homes. People want investment properties.
Mm,
That's pretty much what it has been. It has just gotten bigger, magnified. It's happening on a larger scale. So that is pretty much what's happening over time. I will say, like I mentioned before, I'm expecting to see a boom in the affordable housing market.
Oh, tell us
Because
about.
recently there was an announcement by the government for effective mid this year, where the NHT, National Housing Trust, is going to increase the loan limit that's going to be offered to persons contributing to the fund, right? And so with that, it means now that developers have a little more flexibility in what they can do. And again, with the infrastructure, the road work and all of that that's being implemented, it's opening the floodgates. And as I said, this really is an area in the market that needs a lot of attention. So I think it's a good place to get started, because the property prices are a little more affordable in certain communities that would have been forgotten or inaccessible, in past years. That would be a good place to get your feet wet.
I love that. I love that.
And that is an area in the market where you don't have to worry about, am I going to be able to move this property?
Exactly, right?
The demand for it is out of this world. I don't know how we're gonna be able to meet the demand, but we have to start somewhere.
That's why it's important to invest in land, because you can't create it. It's already there. So if you invest in property, and historically always property values have steadily gone up, and there's no more land, right? Especially Jamaica. It's an island. So how much more
Mm-hmm.
can you build? Eventually it's going to be built out, right?
Yes,
Hopefully not every part. We want to still have our natural habitats, but essentially it's going to be so hard to keep building that just the properties there. That's what's happening in New York City. New York City is completely built out. Manhattan is completely built out. Where are they going is up. So who knows, that can happen, 10, 20 years down the line in Jamaica. But if you take advantage now, you're going to build, you're setting yourself up for an amazing future.
absolutely. Absolutely. So
Um,
I'd say we are currently building up and out. Up and
Up and
out.
out. There you
Yeah.
go. There you go. So I meant to ask this before, and I want to be mindful of your time here. The property taxes, is there, do properties in Jamaica have property taxes, or is it there's a different term for that?
Yes, there are property taxes. I don't think that property taxes in Jamaica are not, so the taxes on the unimproved value of the property, it's not a scary number. So
Mm.
whereas, I don't know, in New York, you might have a hefty thing that you have to be worrying about every year. It's not like that. I can't give you the exact figure. It's based on the value of the property, but it's not a headache. It's not
Mm.
something that's, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna be able to pay. It's, you know, it's
Under-
it's manageable.
So there are property taxes, obviously, but they're just not as high as, I guess,
Right.
here.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Um, Anakae, it was a pleasure having you on the podcast. Thank you so much for your time. Um, is there any properties that you want to, or any developments, anything you want to spotlight or feature?
Yes, there there are a couple of properties that I want to highlight. There are some that are going to be coming on stream very soon. I talk about, you've heard me mention Iron Shore in Montego Bay. It's a community uh coveted place to be. Um, it is only a couple minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes to the airport, um, to the Donald Sangster International Airport. Um, 10 minutes from the beach. Um, we have apartments coming on stream, slated to to break ground this month. We have
Wow.
the ones that I mentioned earlier, starting at 365 for amazing, spacious ocean view, great amenities, gym, pool, starting at only 365,000, and that's also just 5 minutes. So if you're looking for investment property, if you're looking for a vacation home, some of these properties are ideal. I have apartment complexes. You know, if you're looking for a retirement plan, you know, an
Yes.
apartment complex with, 25 apartments, a swimming pool, space for expansion kind of thing, amazing ocean view apartments. Also within 7 minutes from the airport.
Yes.
You know,
Paradise.
so there are a lot of options. It is, and as I said before, it's not one size fits all. It's where you are. There is something here for everybody. Yeah, we have we have an amazing sprawling 200 acres of beachfront this time
Beachfront this time.
in Westmoreland,
Okay.
literally on the beach,
Oh, that's
flatland,
beautiful.
gorgeous white sand beach. Um, we have I have fixer-upper hotels in St. Anne, you know, beachfront, oceanfront, um, gorgeous, so much potential. So there are a lot of opportunities. Just let's talk and see where you are and let's get something going.
Anakae, how can people reach out to you? You have social media.
Via social media, Anakae Sells Real Estate JA, Instagram. My contact number is, do I read
You
it
don't
out
have
here?
to.
Do you want me to send it to you?
You don't have to.
It,
I mean,
it
yeah, if anybody is interested in actually reaching out to you, then I'll give them the,
they'll they'll come to you. Yeah, so
yeah, they'll come
you'll
to me
have
and
all
then
my
I'll connect them with you.
information. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
But Anakae Sells Real Estate JA.
Great. Amazing. Anakae, again, thank you very much. Amazing, amazing knowledge. Thank you for taking your time out of your day to for this podcast. And again, anything you need over here in New York, let me know. I'm here to help. All right?
Absolutely. It was, again, a pleasure to be here. So happy to be here. So happy to be sharing this information with you and your audience. And I absolutely look forward to linking with you, making some connections,
Definitely
getting some
will.
of your people down here and settling and vice versa.